The first Splatoon 2 Global Testfire session has just completed, and I'm going to tell you all about it. Now, it is hard to believe that almost 2 years ago I did a video, one of my very first videos for this channel, all about the very first Splatoon Global Testfire sort of beta session. And to be honest, 2 years on with this new sequel on the Nintendo Switch, a lot of my feelings haven't really changed since then. When Splatoon actually came out, I loved it. Really fun multiplayer shooter, a genre that I myself am not a big fan of for the most part. But Nintendo have this way of making genres that I'm usually not interested in very interesting to play, and Splatoon was a very good example of that. It was very easy to play. Being part of a team-based sort of game meant you actually end up winning games every once in a while, and it was very easy to sort of just play your own way, enjoy yourself whether you won or lost, and it was just great fun overall. So that leads me to Splatoon 2, and as I say, not much has changed. The basics are pretty much still there. This is they're testing the Turf War mode, which is pretty much the main Splatoon mode anyway, and so a lot of my things from 2 years ago still apply. And if you played the original Splatoon, and if you haven't, you maybe should because it's pretty damn good, then you pretty much know what to expect. So has Splatoon changed much from the Wii U to the Nintendo Switch in terms of how it works? Not really, actually. I mean, the main sort of subtraction from this version is the lack of touchscreen controls for warping around the map. But to be honest, what they've done is to, instead of having the touchscreen to select what teammate you want to warp to after you die, you can actually just press the X button to bring the map up, hold a direction on the D-pad which corresponds to a teammate, hold A, and that's it, you've teleported. It's probably slightly more finicky than just touching somebody on the screen there, but to be honest, it works pretty well and it doesn't matter too much anyway. Otherwise, it controls very much like the original Splatoon did, and that is to say, you kind of move around with your left stick, you can move the camera around with your right stick, and you can also adjust your aim with motion controls, which you can turn off if you don't want motion controls whatsoever. But honestly, I think the motion controls still work incredibly well. You have to get used to them. There's a bit of a learning curve involved with getting used to sort of not making so much movements with the pads, otherwise you sort of move your aiming more off bit. But once you get used to sort of controlling that motion controls for aiming, you can do some really cool things. You can sort of move around in one direction, aim in another, and it becomes very intuitive once you start to sort of get used to that, because how many other shooters at all have that sort of mechanic? So of course it's going to feel different, it's going to feel weird, it's not going to feel right, but once you do get used to it, I can assure you it feels like second nature after a while, and it is so much fun to move around and fire shots at people while you're moving around and swimming underwater and jumping over things. It all feels really great, very Nintendo, and to be honest, that's probably the best bit of the game for me, is the controls. So I've been using the Nintendo Switch in various modes with Splatoon. So I first off tried with the Switch docked and the two Joy-Con in the little docking pad thingy, and it works pretty well actually. Most of the time when I've been playing Switch games, I've sort of just been using the Joy-Con separately, one in each hand, but I did a bit of that with Splatoon, but actually it felt a bit more natural for a game like this to just have them in the dock. And just sort of, it helps a bit with sort of tilting and moving around with some of the controls. So that was pretty much my preferred way of playing. I did also test a fair bit of time with just the Switch on its own, with the Joy-Con attached to it in handheld mode, and it worked really well. The graphics look really good on that sharp little 720p screen. I didn't notice any problems in terms of controlling. It just felt like you were holding it felt like you were holding the Wii U gamepad, to be honest. So again, if you've played Splatoon, then you feel right at home playing it in handheld mode, but it was nice just to be able to just play it away from that and have a proper control pad of sorts. I haven't got a Pro controller at the moment, so I can't really tell you how that controls, but I don't imagine it controls any differently to having the Joy-Con in that little dock. It all worked fine, I didn't have any problems, no issues disconnecting in terms of controllers. It worked fine from that standpoint. And on the subject of disconnecting, let's talk about the way the network sort of work, the internet. It's very bare bones at this point. As far as I could tell, I couldn't really find any friends to play with, but I only disconnected twice in the hour I played the game, and I don't know if that was because my Wi-Fi sometimes get a bit flaky, or the Switch's proper-sized Wi-Fi issues. But I mean, 2 times out of about probably at least 10 games in an hour, that's really not too bad. And I didn't have any. I think I had more problems when I was playing handheld mode than when it was docked. So again, it could have just been my Wi-Fi being out of range when I had it on my sofa playing in a handheld mode. But when it was working in the handheld mode, absolutely fine. I did not notice any sort of lag at all. Same as the original Splatoon, in fact. Occasionally you might get the odd disconnect, but I never noticed any sort of issues in terms of things cutting out, any lag or anything like that. It worked very, very well. If there was problems, I didn't notice them. So this test version of Splatoon 2 has 4 weapons that you can choose from. You can't unfortunately choose make any customizations to your Inkling, your character. You can't change armor, clothes, gear, things like that. All you can do is pick from one of 4 different loadouts. You cannot change them at all. And most of them are pretty familiar to anyone that's played Splatoon. So you've got the splatter shot, which is sort of like the default average gun. There is the paint roller, which has always been a very popular choice, still works as well as it ever did. You've got the long range sort of sniper kind of shotgun, which is my personal favourite. I love making kind of long range shots with that one. But the new weapon that is in this game is the it's kind of dual pistols, and it's quite fun playing with that because unlike the other guns, so you're dual wielding these pistols, and what you can do is anytime you can sort of dodge out the way by pressing B in a direction while shooting. So most of the time if you're trying to dodge out the way, you usually sort of swim down into the ink and sort of run away, but this time you can kind of face things head on and dodge all over the place to make sure you get avoided. As for the other 3 weapons, they still work as well as they ever did. They feel pretty much the same. They've jiggled around some of the special weapons, and some of those are really, really fun. I particularly like the ink roller has a really cool special weapon where you fly into the air and then slam down into the ground, and it sort of makes this area of effect around you. Any enemy sort of caught into that pretty much dies, and I actually managed to get rid of 3 enemies at the same time with one of those moves, and it was just the most awesome feeling. It's another example of how cool Splatoon makes you feel while playing, no matter what your ability. The 2 levels showcased in this little test, they're okay. They seem quite smaller than what I'm used to in a Splatoon levels. Maybe that's an intentional thing to sort of keep things sort of close and full of action. But I'm not as enamoured of these levels as I were the previous ones. I like the sort of levels where you can kind of climb up walls and sort of run around people and sneak attack people. And there wasn't so much of that with these 2 levels. Obviously, this is just a small portion of what we're going to get in the game, and I imagine we'll probably get even more levels as the game progresses over the next year. And seeing how it goes, but the levels so far are okay, very action-packed. So it's a lot going on, which I guess makes sense for a demo like this, where you're sort of showing people how cool Splatoon is. So no matter how far away you are, it's not too difficult to sort of rush into the fray and get some action, kill or be killed sort of thing. But yeah, the 2 levels okay, but I'm hoping there's going to be some better offerings in the final game. So simply put, the Splatoon 2 Global Testfire has been very enjoyable in this first round. I may not get a chance to actually partake in any of the other sessions going on this weekend. I just wanted to get a good bit of solid time in with this session and just sort of record my thoughts very briefly. What could be done better? I mean, we don't know how the online infrastructure for this game is going to be, and I'm not talking about this sort of bare bones. You have a lobby and that's it. I want to see how the sort of friends implement. There's the app coming out on mobile phones where you're supposed to be able to coordinate your play with friends and have some sort of communication with them. Because if you didn't know already, Splatoon has no sort of voice chat, which works works pro and con basically. It's nice to have a online shooter where you're not being yelled abuse at from everybody, but it would be nice to sort of speak to your teammates and sort of coordinate things. Not that this is a especially tactical game, because you can sort of play this game any way you like, but it would be nice to, if you're with friends, to be able to talk with them. And I'm hoping that's something that's going to be coming with the Nintendo online infrastructure, which is hopefully coming in the next few months. But I guess we'll see. Well, I think I'd like to see some more. I want to know if there's going to be a decent single-player portion of this game, because the original Splatoon wasn't known for its single player, but it was fun. It was a nice little campaign. Sort of taught you a lot of the basics of how to play the game proper, and it was just very cleverly done. A very fun and short mode. There's some brilliant amiibo support which unlocked some extra levels, as well as some challenges and special armour which really sort of gave you a leg up over people, including an armour that looked exactly like the Predator suit, which I actually covered in a video, in a very quirky video, which I'll probably put up, and if you click the eye you'll probably see it right now. But I'm hoping to see a lot more of Splatoon as we get closer to its release. I want to see what gear there is, how much single player stuff there is. I want to see what the multiplayer experience is really going to be like in the final game, because I'm still not convinced about having this sort of this app on your phone that's supposed to sort things out with your friends. Can you voice chat with people? Is it just going to be like no voice chat like Nintendo's done for the past God knows how long? But yeah, I'm enjoying this so far. I hope if you've had a chance to play this that you're enjoying it as well. Let me know what you think of this Global Testfire if you've had a chance to play it so far. Are you interested in this game if you haven't played this already? Do you have a Switch yet? If you don't have a Switch, is this a game that's going to make you buy one? Please let me know in the comments. And I'm going to leave it there, but thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys around. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this and want more, you can click this icon to subscribe, this icon to support me financially via Patreon, or these icons to watch more videos from my channel. Why not take a few seconds to answer the question of the week in the comments, or just let me know what you thought of this video. See you next week.